Kato's Pocket Line is a series of highly affordable small model trains that can run on very tight radii. So not only are they great for those that are tight on budget, they're also great for those that are really tight on space. And with offerings like the Steeple Cab electric locomotive that has knuckle couplers, they may be something that is tempting for you to buy. The one issue that I have with them is that they are not DCC ready like most of Kato's other locomotives. So if you want to run DCC, you might be out of luck there. So let's take a look at how to convert one of these things to DCC. Kato Pocket Line locomotives basically run on slight variants of the same chassis. So what you can do to one, you can apply to all of them. So I thought about it and I was like, wait a minute, I already have a Kato Pocket Line locomotive. Some of you may remember this little Kato Pocket Line tram that I built an automated model railroad with. Well, today we're going to stick a decoder in this thing and get it wired up for DCC. Let's get started. The Kato Pocket Line tram has a powered car and an unpowered car, and the powered car is the one with the pantograph. That's the thing that touches the electric wire on a train. We're going to go ahead and pop the shell off of it, and there is the blank chassis right there, and then we're going to take all the little plastic bits off of it. It's fairly easy to figure out and just get all of those little plastic pieces off until you get to the metal chassis. And then you'll also want to take the wheels out of it and then the contacts out of it, and then you're left with just basically this metal chassis and the motor itself, which is a pretty tiny little motor. So basically the way that the motor connects to the chassis has two isolated halves, is you have these little parts right here that are little copper tabs that are connections to that. So what we're going to do is we're going to take a soldering iron and we're going to remove those copper taps, and then we're going to connect those to our decoder. Now our decoder we're using is a Digitrax DZ123, very basic decoder, but it comes with a lot of extra wire, so we need to go ahead and trim off the wire on that so that we don't have to cram the entire chassis full of all this wire. So this will make it a lot easier to fit. Next, we're going to take our soldering iron, and notice I'm using a pair of tweezers. That copper thing will get really hot really fast if you don't use tweezers. And I'm just using the soldering iron to remove those copper contacts right there. Next, we need to cut a little path so that the wires from the motors can go up the decoder. So I'm just cutting out a little section of the top of the chassis cover, the plastic cover, and then we will be able to run the wires through that. So I've run the wires through that, and then I begin tinning them, which makes it a lot easier to connect. And then we're going to be connecting the orange wire of the decoder to the red wire of the motor, and then we're going to do the gray wire of the decoder to the black wire. Now, when you buy this from Digitrax, it's going to have a diagram of how to wire this up, so don't worry too much. But you're just going to make those connections, and then I'm going to seal them off with a little bit of Kapton tape. Kapton tape is great for this because it makes it very compact and easy to seal up versus something like electrical tape. Next, we're going to need to connect the decoder to the contact, and the easiest way I found to do that is to first kind of make a little solder pad on the contacts themselves in a place that's going to be easy to wire. This can be a little bit difficult, but once you get it, it's going to stay there for a while. And then you're going to want to go ahead and start soldering the wires. Again, the instructions will have where to connect the wires on which side, because that is important. Red is typically the right side, and black is typically the left side. And now we can finally start reassembling everything. I've got that chassis back in the plastic shell on top, and next I put those contacts in, and then I'm going to put the wheels back in. I did find that the wires were a little big for the chassis, so what I did was basically I took a file and cut some wire paths. The first one was on the bottom right here so that the wires could pop right out without wedging the plastic and making anything an awkward fit. The next one I did when the shell wouldn't fit quite on the chassis, I used a file to make some wire paths up to the top into the plastic. Because it's plastic, this is extremely easy to do and very simple to knock out, and it worked out great. For a non-DCC ready install, that was a pretty simple installation, and I'm pretty happy about that. Let's give it a test run. So overall, I am very happy with the performance, but I do have a few caveats that I think are specific to the Tram and may not be necessary for something like the Steeple Cab. One thing that I notice is that for some reason it actually runs better in reverse, which having the powered car in the back versus the front. I'm not sure why. It also didn't handle hills very well. I think it had a lot of slippage is what it sounded like. I couldn't exactly see what was going on, but it really sounded like slippage on the hill. So I've got some bullfrog snot coming in. For those of you that don't know what that is, it's a liquid traction tire, and I'm going to put that on there and see if that helps it out. So if you're doing this to one of the Trams, put the shells in reverse of what they are and put the one with the connections onto it on the front, and then put the rear one as the one with the powered chassis. But overall, I'm pretty happy with it. This was a pretty simple install, and now I think I'm going to have to go and pick up one of the Steeple Cabs so that I can do this install in there and see how well it works out. I have seen someone already that has done a DCC conversion on this, so I definitely know it's possible. Thank you all so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this. Until next time, I'm Jimmy from the DIY and Digital. Stay safe, be kind, and happy railroading.